Oh, good morning, motherfuckers. 3 o'clock. I've been up about 45 minutes. I'm still tired. Drinking coffee. I'm still lighting my chair. Shit. I already slept in here until about 9:30 this morning. I get up, go pee, and I let him out for the day. I still never cleaned my floor up. Uh, so for the replay crew, I'm watching. I woke up to watching Sean Puff Daddy motherfucking boy, when they take his ass to Texas, if they do, he's fucked. All these sick, no allegations down to 9 year olds, little boys and little girls. Hey, it's fucked up. So now I've got Sheriff Mickey Stines in court from today in Carter County. It's a good thing I didn't go to motherfucking Letcher County because I couldn't have got to Letcher County today without going on another through Hurricane Creek or Virginia because the Letcher County, the mountain going over there, yeah, you gotta go across the big ass mountain. The a fucking big old tree fell in the road and Pine Mountain was cut off for hours. So going to see the sheriff, Letcher County, where the sheriff smoked the judge at, was not going to be hard. It's going to be hard to do today because, like I said, the motherfucking a tree fell in the road. So if you went the other way, you'd have to go across Pine Mountain down here, go up the back roads. Wouldn't have been too difficult. It'd have been a prettier ride. But anyway, so if you're here, hit the like button. We're gonna watch. I'm gonna let y'all watch this court hearing with me. We've got live coverage. It's been over for an hour of the preliminary court hearing of a former Letcher County judge, now Mickey Stines. They just played a 15-second video of the judge shooting the sheriff. Other way around, sheriff shooting the judge. Well, when it got to that point, I woke straight up. I thank God. I talked to my kid, yada, 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 and I made a can of coffee straight off the rip. Crawled back under my cover. It's 60 degrees and just barely rainy and drizzly and cloudy like I love it. And I'm still lazy and tired. I drinking weed, got a can of coffee at the place. Some good weed coffee / can of butter coffee. And last night, can of coffee, can of butter. But if y'all want to watch this, I was waiting on some more people to get here. In here, I'm 7 minutes in to this court hearing. I'll skip it back for some of y'all. I'm gonna let y'all sit right here somewhere where y'all can get a good view of the television. Please, please, pretty please, hit that like button for a player. So they just played with no audio a 15-second video of the sheriff smoking down the judge. I mean, he smoked that bitch. So we'll go back just to her. This is Sean Tough Daddy Combs. Been fucking 9 year olds. I'm being dead serious. He's fucked them younger than that. He's fucked one kid that was like 9 or 11, and the mommy and daddy let him and his crew fuck a kid. Yeah, dead serious. It was in the allegations I watched a minute ago. Diddy's got all kinds of new lawsuits, and right here is the judge in court from an hour ago. So I'm going to start it right now for you guys in class. Here you go, class. This is a 24-year detective on the. 15 seconds. In fact, the video that was. All right, I'm going to start it about right here. You're not going to miss nothing. This is Sheriff Mickey Stines, former Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Stines, in court. About an hour, and the preliminary hearing ended an hour ago, I guess. Here we go. In the Letcher County Courthouse. So everyone. Cross the witness. I'll put you.
That was a short clip that was played there. How long do you believe that clip was?
That we just watched?
Yes,
Just 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
15 seconds. In fact, the video that was taken.
Yeah, that was the surveillance video of the sheriff shooting at the judge. 15-second audio, so they just played in court. That's where you're caught up to. It just started.
Judge's chambers between the meeting between Sheriff Stines and Judge Mullins.
Hit that like button, guys.
It's my understanding that video lasted much longer, correct?
Yes.
Let me go back just to her because I got confused talking to y'all here.
That he would retire effective immediately, which sounds like a pretty good idea considering he's now charged with first-degree murder. The quote from the statement from the lawyer, I should say, named Jeremy Bartley, reads as follows: "Rather, Sheriff Stines has made the decision to allow for a successor to continue to protect his beloved constituency."
Can y'all hear that? I'm taking it easy today. Wonder if the judge's daughter went to court today. He wants his pension.
By the way, this is probably ambitious, but right at 2 o'clock, assuming this is over, there's a big press conference related to 100 plus more victims.
Yep.
That's being held at the law firm in Houston, Texas. We're going to try to bring that to you live right after this at 2 o'clock Eastern.
9-year-old victims.
Yes, it is.
They might have been weeping in court because they just seen the video of the judge getting shot, or they're fixing to see it right here. We don't see it yet.
That was Sheriff Mickey Stines and Judge Kayla Mullins.
And also, who had the firearm?
Sheriff Stines.
And then Judge was also his black brother.
Yes.
Do you know what portion of the courthouse that is?
That is the judge's chambers.
And where's that located at, physically located?
In the Letcher County Courthouse.
So I don't
No, Marlene.
It was a short clip that was played there. How long do you believe that clip was?
That we just watched?
Yes,
Just 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
15 seconds. In fact, the video that was taken in the judge's chambers between the meeting between Sheriff Stines and Judge Mullins, it's my understanding that video lasted much longer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to review the video
I have.
of the prior incident?
I have.
And can you describe for us what happened immediately prior to the clip that we saw?
Sheriff Stines uses his telephone to make some phone calls. He then borrows Judge Mullins' cell phone and appears to make a call on that. And that led to what you just saw.
Okay.
That's as far as I made it, and I said I'm gonna go live and let y'all watch it too. I bet he called his daughter. Let's find out.
So it's my understanding there were some people who were having a meeting with Judge Mullins prior to the sheriff's entry into the chambers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you identified those witnesses?
I don't know the names of them. There's about approximately 4 people in there. Then Sheriff Stines enters the judge's chambers and everybody else clears out.
You don't know their names?
No,
Have you prepared a report?
in the process, yes.
You're in the process of preparing a report,
Yes, a lot of information.
but you've not spoken to any of those witnesses?
Not directly, but they've all been interviewed. There's recorded interviews of those people in the case.
Okay, so Other officers have spoken with those 4 witnesses?
Yes.
And what is your understanding of what those 4 witnesses have said?
I don't recall.
You have no idea what they said?
No.
That's a little
I want to make sure you
unprepared.
understand, have there been a hearing previously this day in chambers?
In the courtroom?
No, in chambers.
Not that
With district judges' chambers normally, how they're set up.
I mean, some of them have video surveillance and some don't.
Right, but
Some does.
generally when they have surveillance, you'd agree with me that that is utilized when there is a proceeding going on in chambers, correct?
It could be, yes.
Okay. And I mean, I'm just asking, so this video didn't have an audio recording to it, correct?
There's no audio.
Outside of what's the 4 people that were inside that we don't know their names, once these 4 people had left the chambers, were they in an area adjacent where they could hear anything that was going on?
Yes, I believe some of them did remain in the next room.
Okay. And what did they tell us? What did they hear?
I've not been part, I wasn't part of those interviews.
I'm holding this in my hand, so.
You're prepared for a preliminary hearing on the murder, and there are witnesses in an adjacent room.
They heard
Now,
gunshots.
put my question, please.
Yeah, let him ask the questions.
Thank you, officer. So you are investigating a murder and testifying in a preliminary hearing, and there are witnesses who may have overheard what preceded this edited clip. Yet you can't tell us today anything that they said?
I've not personally listened to those interviews. I've talked to the other officers that did those interviews.
Fair enough, and I mean, we're here at a preliminary hearing, as you know, that you can testify to hearsay. I'm asking you what they said.
They heard gunshots.
Okay, was there any statements that they overheard?
No.
Were there raised voices?
There, one person stated that she didn't recognize him as being Judge Mullen's voice, but heard somebody say, "Help, help."
Presumably that would be after the firearm was drawn or shot.
Objection, or
I would draw, Judge. So, is there any testimony that you can give us today about any statements or arguments or the content of that argument prior to the shooting?
no.
No audio helps that judge, sheriff, even though there's video of him slaying the judge. Passion, heat of
I want
passion.
to ask generally, so did you process the scene? Are you the lead investigator on this case?
I am.
Okay, so as a lead investigator, I would presume that you would have secured the chambers and evidence once you arrived.
I was part of that, yes.
You're part of it, right? But you're the lead investigator, so you'd be in charge of those duties and delegating what should be done. Is that fair?
No, I don't delegate what's done.
Okay, so you're the lead investigator. What does that mean?
I'm the case officer.
Okay, so you're carrying the case. So I want to make sure I understand, had Judge Mullins been removed from chambers when you arrived?
No,
Were you able to ascertain, did he have a firearm on his person?
we did not locate one.
You did not locate one?
No, there's not one in the chambers.
Okay. And there was none on his person?
No.
Well, there goes self-defense,
Alright,
judge.
who's the first person to arrive on behalf of law enforcement to investigate?
They were already in the courthouse.
Fair enough, but I'm talking about in terms of people that we may see or report
Wait.
from or.
Did you see that comment?
They were already in the courthouse.
That 10-second video they showed was insane. The sheriff looked crazy. People are starting to say that the sheriff's lost his mind. Like he's got some kind of, I don't know, brain disease or something.
Fair enough, but I'm talking about in terms of people that we may see or report from or
I'm glad they didn't show that on Zoom. It won't be airing that raw STS. This is not something that needs to be broadcast here or anywhere, really. So he fucked that sheriff up. I want to see it.
Take part in this investigation? Who will be the first person?
I believe Trooper Jason Bates was the first KSP.
Afternoon, Rev. We were watching the
And
court, the sheriff's hearing. He had preliminary court in Carter County, about 2 to 3 hours north of here, earlier today. As soon as this went off the air in Houston, I woke up about an hour ago watching Sean Puff Daddy Combs with 100 more allegations of 9-year-olds, all kinds of minors. Sean Diddy Combs is, oh my God, he's fucking way worse than what we thought. No, Diddy shouldn't even be joked about after finding out what he's did to kids. But anyway, let's listen to this.
With him
I did.
and he searched and did not locate a firearm.
No, he didn't search the scene, no. His role at that point was security of the scene.
I understand, but I'm just trying to ascertain, is there was a firearm found?
No.
I'm wanting to know, can you tell us, was it specifically searched for a firearm?
In the judge's chambers,
Yes, sir.
there was myself, Detective Chris Collins, Detective Scott Caldwell, Detective Eric Caldwell. That's all I recall right now.
I believe that judge lost his mind.
So who searched specifically for a firearm?
We all did.
And that was specifically something you looked for?
Yes.
Fair enough, okay. In course of your investigation, did you ascertain that prior in the day, there had been a lunch meeting between Sheriff Stines and Judge Mullins?
There was.
Pardon?
There was.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear your response, I wasn't being trite. So where did this take place?
It's a restaurant called Streetside. It's just down the street from the courthouse.
Okay, and it's my understanding there were a couple of other people who attended the luncheon?
There were several, yes.
Okay, and at some point after that, they wrapped up lunch and left, obviously, and went back to the courthouse. Are you aware of anything so far in your investigation that would tell us there was any issues at lunch between Judge
No.
Mullins and Sheriff Stines?
No.
Okay.
What up, Chill Billy?
On behalf of the KSP has spoken to those witnesses?
Yes, they've all been interviewed.
And there's nothing unusual that had arisen during that luncheon?
I was told that the judge made a statement to Nikki about, do we need to meet private in my chambers? That's all I was told.
Do you know the context of what the conversation was before that they would need to discuss in chambers?
I don't know.
His daughter.
So it's my understanding that in the larger portion of the video that we haven't had access to, that there is a point when Sheriff Stines asked for to see the telephone of Judge Mullins.
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And I would presume that you and the other officers you mentioned, when you secured the scene, that you secured those phones as well, is that correct?
Yes.
And have you reviewed both of those phones?
They're currently at the forensic lab, but this time being downloaded. I have had discussions with the people at the lab regarding the downloads.
And those are a couple of other questions that I was going to ask you, but my original question was, have you reviewed or are you aware of the content of the phones?
I've not personally seen it because I've not received those reports yet.
Okay, again, based on your conversation with officers, are you aware of any recent content that was up and could have been relevant at the time of their discussion?
I was told that Sheriff Stines had tried to call his daughter.
Told you. I told you.
And he tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
So, have you obtained the phone records from Judge Mullins' phone?
I don't have those in the
I done fucking told you.
Issued a search warrant for them?
Yes.
Okay. And have officers confirmed that the sheriff's daughter's phone number was on Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
So
yes.
that number had been called from Judge Mullins' phone,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
There it is. Free the judge. Free the motherfucking judge, man.
So we don't have a viewing of what transpired during that exchange of phones. But based upon your review of those moments prior to, when Sheriff Stines observes that cell phone, was he previously seated?
Yes.
Okay, so we saw him standing the entire time.
He was seated in front of the judge's desk.
And he looks at the cell phone. What is it? Can you describe his reaction in the video that we haven't seen?
Whose reaction?
Well, the sheriff.
You can't see his face in the video.
Okay. But is it clear that, does it appear to you that, let me rephrase this. Did he stand up after
Yes.
looking at the phone?
He stood up.
And how long after he looked at the cell phone and stood up did this occur that you played?
Just seconds.
Did you make the decision as on edits today for what you were going to present? In terms of, did you make the edit or determine which portion of the video we were going to see today?
No, sir, I did not.
There you have it, ladies and
Those
gentlemen.
cell phones have been sent to the Kentucky State Police forensic team, is that correct?
Yes.
Have you gotten any early report on what was found?
No.
What was it? Were both phones still on the desk when you arrived?
The judge's phone was on the desk. Sheriff Stein's phone was on his person.
Okay, so are there photographs of, was the phone locked at that point or was it still open?
Are you asking about both of them? Or?
Well, first let's talk about, that's fair. First, I'm talking about Judge Mullins, since it was the one that was still on the desk and presumably nobody touched it prior to you securing it, correct?
No.
So, yeah, so we'd like to know about that. Have you ascertained what was currently open on that cell phone?
No, I don't know at this point.
You don't know?
No.
Do you think that would be important to learn?
Please remember to hit that like button for surviving the survivor.
But as of today, you can't tell us what was currently open on the judge's file.
No, sir.
He busted the sheriff's. So there it is, guys. Let's continue watching it. But Sheriff Stines found out at lunch and asked, "Do we need to meet in private, motherfucker?" He'd been fucking goddamn. I'm telling you, he's a cop. He had been trolling his daughter's phone. Or just found out that day. I feel like
Conduct an interview with Sheriff Stein's daughter.
I didn't know, but she has been interviewed.
Are you aware of who was present when she was interviewed?
Lieutenant Randy Combs and Detective Anthony Trotter.
Okay. Then she was interviewed with or without her parent?
With.
So her parent was present at the time we interviewed her.
Yes, I believe. I wasn't there, but yes, I think so.
The law enforcement has not spoken to her without the parent present.
Not that I'm aware of.
Did the Kentucky State Police obtain her phone?
No.
What the fuck? Why would they not obtain that bitch's phone?
To obtain records for her cell phone number?
Possibly, yes.
Do you believe that that would be soon that you'll do that?
Could be, yes.
Had you already intended to do that, or did you just respond to my question?
Well, the call should be on the judge's records too.
Oh, I understand.
And she's made statements about what occurred during those conversations.
I understand that, but
Oh.
I would presume that have you ascertained whether Judge Mullins also had apps that stand outside all phone records?
I've not received those records yet. I don't know what's on the phone.
Fair enough, but did you look at the phone? Did it appear there were apps on it?
I'm not the person that's qualified to look through the phone.
Okay, but you're familiar with cell phones. They can host other forms of communication.
No,
Yes, sir.
let's do that. Can I ask an answer? He's asked a question, I think, about different dollars. He just said he was gonna have a corporate phone, he's gonna do the phone. He can't testify that night.
I should
I'll ask the question and what you can only testify with his personal knowledge.
A detective?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor. So you're aware that phones can be used for apps such as Facebook?
Yes.
Okay. And
WhatsApp?
that is not something that is captured by cell phone records. You agree with me?
I agree.
So in light of that, although the records may be mutually the same between Judge Mullins' phone and the sheriff's daughter, do you believe that you could also ascertain other information from the cell phone app content?
Are you asking what apps are on the phone?
Yes. Well, that was my original question, but I thought you
I've not received that report yet. I don't know what apps he had downloaded on the phone.
If he has social media apps, do you intend
That
to?
could lead to additional search warrants, yes.
If you would also please let me finish before you move forward, and I'll try to slow down as well, okay?
Yo, that lawyer's the beast, ain't he?
Sure. Thank you, Trooper. Have you determined whether there were any previous issues, personal or professional, between Sheriff Stines and Judge Mullins?
I've heard things,
What have you heard?
just that of this regarding the lawsuit that the Letcher County Sheriff's Office is currently involved with.
The lawsuit that involved ultimately a criminal conviction of a deputy for sexual behavior in the judge's chambers. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, and the subject matter of that lawsuit, the chambers area, that's the same chambers in which this occurred, is that correct?
I'm not familiar with the details of that case that the lawsuit resulted from.
Okay. Are you aware of any criminal reports that Sheriff Stines had made on Judge Mullins prior to this day? Did you personally observe Sheriff Stines following this video?
Did I personally observe him?
Did you meet with him? Did you talk to him after?
He was in custody and I arrived at the courthouse that afternoon.
And at some point, did you draw any observation about his demeanor?
He was mostly calm, I thought. I mean, I talked to him, but he didn't say nothing about why this had happened. But he was calm. He was kind of afraid that basically all I said was, treat me fair. That's basically the comments he made.
Did he also make a statement about, I see a citation citation, somewhere along the line I saw.
Do you see the sheriff back there just diddling on paper? I've noticed he's been diddling on paper for a while. I think he's trying to play crazy for whoever the jury is watching.
Contributed to him about protecting his
What?
family.
I wasn't present, but when he was taken into custody by one of the other officers that were there, that he made the comment, they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid.
What? They're trying to kidnap my wife and kid. What if the judge's daughter, what if he did go crazy and lose his mind and the judge's daughter was just telling, the sheriff's daughter was just telling the judge, I'm concerned about my dad? Damn.
Have you asked any evidence that this shooting was pre-planned?
No.
Okay.
Not this time.
And would you agree that from what we've seen so far, from the evidence you've seen so far,
It's hard to have that phone
she was
still.
a reaction to what was on that cell phone in that moment? Is that accurate?
Objection, Your Honor. Officer speculation, that's not be still there, please.
Your Honor, I believe that if he is forming an opinion about the investigation up to this point, especially at a preliminary hearing, we can speculate on that, Judge.
No, she said.
Sure. So, is there anything other than the content of the phone, that this video will reveal to us about why this took place?
No.
Bandit. That never occurred to me until just now. The sheriff's sitting here doing crossword puzzles or writing. I'm watching him. What if the doubter, is that her back there? That kind of looks like the chicken I fought the Law 1 TikToks. What if the girl, I've been sitting here saying, fuck that judge, he's fucking the daughter. What if the daughter was just reaching out to the judge to say, my dad's losing his mind. We may need to get my dad some help. It sounds like it. You don't think that he got on meth, do you?
Does it appear that this took place as a reaction to what was happening in the chambers at that point?
I can say it occurred after a phone call was made. I don't know what was said or nothing like that. But
Fair enough. And I'm not asking you the content of any of that, but at this point, is it your theory that whatever that content was in the discussion was the impetus of the shooting?
it could be, but I don't know that for a fact.
Okay. Do you have any evidence up until this point that you have developed that would demonstrate that it was not as a reaction to what was on the phone?
No.
None whatsoever?
No.
Okay. If I had just one moment to confer with you guys.
This is the defense attorney now for Judge Mickey Stines, whose name is Jeremy Bartley. I believe that is him. Real quick, General, come back. What's he trying to establish here?
You're starting to see the emergence of the groundwork for a manslaughter type defense.
Bandit, if you don't realize, I'm sure you do, that's literally the next county up from me. And I get, well, the court's in Carter County, but that happened 30 minutes up from me. And my buddy, whatever you want to call him, Michael Clark, the preacher, Tweety Bird, He's right in the mix of these motherfuckers. He's Judge Stines or Judge Mullins was the drug court judge too. So my buddy Bird was right in the mix to these people, and he was a big gambler. Tweety Bird's a big preacher that gambles. So it would not surprise me what kind of shit was going on over here. But when I hear his own demons, that sounds to me like addiction coming from a drug addict. But you're right about the small towns. And I'm going to definitely, when I get done with this, what's up, Mopar? We're watching this sheriff, his court hearing from earlier today. He had a preliminary hearing. They showed the video, but we didn't get to see it of him smoking the judge. He looked at the judge's phone, stood up, and sprayed his ass. But they're saying that the judge said they was going to kidnap my wife and daughter when they left after he shot him, and he definitely called his daughter from both phones, the judge's phone and from his own phone. It's there right here in court. He called his daughter from both phones, stood up, put 8 of them in that judge. And that's where we're at right now. The judge came out of the courthouse and said they was going to kidnap my wife and my daughter.
He's clearly asking questions, kind of probing around on what has the investigation revealed so far. Is it possible that this emanated from this confrontation in chambers and based on content on the phone? The detective doesn't have all those answers yet, but you can see how the defense is starting to lay the groundwork for that.
And he did mention the daughter, and there's been speculation, right?
Yes.
Let's see what he says.
Did you attempt to speak to Sheriff Stines at the Lexington County Jail after the incident?
No.
Did anyone from your agency attempt to interview him?
Try to hold this still for y'all guys.
And at that point, had he asserted his right to an attorney or anything?
No.
And nobody went back to try to talk to him or do an interview? No.
Damn, police, y'all slipping like a motherfucker. As he had a mental evaluation.
One other question. In addition to cell phones that we discussed, the cell phone of Sheriff Stines and the cell phone that you found of Judge Mullins, were there additional phones that you were able to obtain?
There was one other phone that's currently being examined, and the basic reason it was seized was there was a text conversation between Sheriff Stines and some of his employees with the sheriff's office.
Okay, and that was an additional phone of Sheriff Stines?
It was a phone of, I guess she's the, I don't know what her title is, but she's employed. She's not sworn. She's employed by the Lexington County Sheriff's Office. And she voluntarily gave her phone to the person that interviewed her.
Oh.
Okay, and just out of curiosity,
Let me pause it. You know what that means, what I've said the whole time. That sheriff was tracking the judge's phone and his daughter's phone, and whoever this individual is, give her phone up because she was helping the sheriff track that shit.
Steve, could you explain why that was relevant or germane to your investigation?
I didn't conduct that interview, but it was, I guess it was regarding the dinner at Streety Side and things that led up to the shooting. But I don't have those results either, so I don't know exactly what was said.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I thought when we discussed that earlier, that you indicated there was no evidence that the conversations at the lunch.
I haven't seen those conversations yet. We took demos from the phone.
Right, but I asked you if you're aware of any information that could have been gleaned from witnesses at that meeting, and as I recall, you said no, but there is some information that something was discussed at this lunch. Is that correct?
I don't know what was discussed at lunch.
I understand, but you obtained this lady, we don't know her name, you obtained her phone in an effort or based on a belief that she would able to demonstrate what was said at lunch. So you would agree with me, you believe that there is a witness or information that may have popped up at lunch.
There's a recorded interview with her in the case, and I'm yet to receive the downloads of the phone, so I don't know what they contain.
Has that phone been sent to for forensic examination as well?
Yes.
Thank you. Also, it's all had a
Now keep watching the judge back here, guys.
Judge Mullins, he's sent to, medical examiner officer Bob.
He was.
Have you received that report yet?
No.
Have you had an informal conversation with him regarding his cause of death?
Yes.
And what was that?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
He could be writing about the case.
The video we showed earlier, that ain't true and accurate copy, clear copy of what you received.
Yes.
All it is a couple of different one year on. Any objection?
That's, of course, all this on it was admitted, but I asked to be admitted in its entirety on this. Things that I'm going to respond to that.
Good job. I'm only being preliminary here is required for probable cause, this established probable cause. I think the entire clip was outside the purview of the, his proceedings today.
I think you're gonna want to see the old litigation check or all of it. Was short earlier, or yeah. The clerk. And then there's a chart.
If you ain't never sat right there where Stines is sitting, it's a trip to be sat right there.
This is an ongoing investigation.
Yes, it is.
And as this ongoing investigation proceeds, you will be, interviewing more people if necessary, submitting more evidence to the lab.
Yes.
So I have
You're off.
Not wasting no time.
Witnesses with non-like, any witnesses for the defendant, I'll find probable cause and find this case over the grounds. Anybody else, anything else before we turn forward?
Yeah, sure, there's no, we're not allowed to sum, judge what.
Well, if you wanna make an argument, sure.
But it seems like, I may change your mind,
Judge,
Judge,
the probable cause hearing, so that, yes,
actually,
take the best shot.
thank you, well, so, murder under their station, as the court knows, and I'm not telling you anything I don't know, but if there is an issue as to extreme emotional disturbance, then there has to be some evidence that will rebut that. And specifically, when I asked the witness today if there was any evidence to rebut that this occurred as a direct result in the moment of this observation, I don't have none. And I get it's just probable cause, but I think they've established probable cause for manslaughter first, but not murder. But I've heard nothing that indicates that this is not, an example of an extreme emotional disturbance relative to founder. At any rate, Judge, respectfully, I understand the court's previous ruling, but I did want to address that.
Well, that's fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. True emotional disturbance is a defense. It might be the defense presented here at court today. The evidence presented at court today is that the judge was intentionally shot and killed and shot all the time by the sheriff, and there's probable cause to find grand and murder motion.
Yeah, I agree, there's probable cause to proceed.
Sure.
All right. Anything else before we turn course today?
Your Honor, in terms of, we'd like to discuss, if we could, lodging for here where he's transported. Is it the court's intention to have him take, and I don't want to discuss that potentially publicly, Your Honor.
I'm not sure I can make that, help you on that.
Your Honor, so.
I mean, you're welcome to stay after court and discuss that, but I'm not sure I can tell the.
Is there a transport order that was entered that will direct, Sheriff Stines to go back to where he came from, Judge? Is that fair?
Let's adjourn forward, we'll talk about that. I don't know that I can change the reason yet.
Actually,
We can discuss. All right.
Actually,
All right, where's adjourn? Sure.
Judge is wanting out of Leslie County Jail, ain't he?
And just like that, there goes the Zoom. You're looking at now deceased Judge Kevin Mullins, 54 years old, and Sheriff Mickey Stines, Sean Mickey Stines, 43, I believe. He is the one now.
Dude,
in the very hot chair there in Kentucky. So General Mark Davidson, we got bits and pieces here, but it seems like, first of all, there was, I don't want to say criticism, but it seems like the detective for the Kentucky State Police, who was the person being questioned, a guy named Detective Clayton Stamper, didn't seem to have all the answers that were asked of him. Was he ill prepared, or is he just not at that stage of the investigation yet?
both.
So it's going to be a large, complicated investigation. Kentucky State.
I agree. What's up, Margaret? I agree, Chill Billy. I agree. Not profiling or no shit, but does he not just look like a pedo? And does he not look kind of off in that picture a little bit? And what's sad is he's a year older than me. If if he did lose his mind and the judge is innocent and he just lost his mind and went in there and shot him, that's crazy. He looks like he's lost his mind. But extreme emotion disturbance, extreme emotion, heat of passion crime in the state of Kentucky. Well, we're watching this sheriff shooting court hearing. The judge went in there, looked at both phones, called his daughter from both phones, stood up, executed the judge, put the gavel to him. It's right in the court hearings, exactly about how I figured it, about how I called it. The judge, we just watched the court hearing from today. It just adjourned about 2 hours ago. As soon as it adjourned, the Sean Puff Daddy Combs new lawsuit from Houston come in, and there's over 100 new victims down to the age of 9. I hate to say this, have been double penetrated and ripped and sent to the hospital to get. Don't know. I try to say that right there with minors the best way I can, but I don't know any other way to say it. Sean Puff Daddy Combs is one sick motherfucker. I mean, there was parents that let them fuck their kids. Several him and his friends fucking underage boy or boy. I think that was 12 in promises for a music deal. So there's a lot going on in the news today. It's definitely Crack 40 TV. The Hezbollah leader's dead. What else is popping today? The sheriff right there, temporary insanity or crime of passion. Them things go good in the state of Kentucky, don't they, Margaret? Normally something like that will go good here. Like I said, Iran has launched missiles uh, at Israel. South Carolina, look at this shit. South Carolina rescue mission thwarted due to pilot's arrest. What the fuck?
You could spend your time looking for a way to grow your business, or you could go to Printful.com. Take your brand to the next level with hundreds of premium customizable products and cutting-edge technology.
Yeah, Bandit, that just come out like about 2 o'clock. I think the presser started at 2.
Stories of survival are now being shared days after Helene wreaked havoc in North Carolina. But one Pageland man's efforts to help are now the source of controversy. He flew his own chopper on his own dime to help stranded victims, but that man says he abandoned his rescue missions after a fire official threatened to have him thrown in jail. Well, that man now wants answers and turned to Queen City News chief investigator Jody Barr to help figure out what went wrong here.
This is the original post.
Yes, Bandit. Fuck.
It's a long post, but she's saying that her kids and family and animals are trapped. No way out, no supplies, and the only way in or out is accessible by helicopter. Limited cell service and no water since Friday morning. I thought I had a helicopter and maybe I can help.
Jordan Sidham piled food and water into his helicopter Saturday and headed up toward Banner Elk, the only way through a mountain gap in Lake Lure.
Look at
This
that.
is the mountain valley that you would have to fly to get to Black Mountain, where we were escorting people out.
Not Harlan's Black
This is a
Mountain.
mountain range, and this is a mountain range. The only place to fly through with bad visibility, low cloud coverage, is Lake Lure.
The cries for help from people stranded without food, water, or electricity hit social media soon after the flooding last Friday.
My parents are stuck there forever. Figure out, stay.
I need to go down there.
If you receive this, please give me a call back. Thank you.
Sidham's phone started lighting up on Saturday with people begging for help.
I can hear the desperation in her voice. This is multiple phone calls I've received like this, voicemails, text messages, and you can hear people desperate for help.
Sidham and his son rescued 4 people on Saturday and spent the night in a nearby pilot's lounge, then decided to fly again Sunday morning.
I spoke with my son,
Hell yeah.
my co-pilot. I said, hey, do you want to go back out and try to help today? And his response was, there's so many messages, I don't think we can't not go help.
Sidham and his son were headed up to Black Mountain. Flight tracking shows no flight restrictions in place Saturday or Sunday morning when Sidham flew through the Lake Lure Gap. But that was all about to change. The Sidham spotted an over waiting for help, then landed in what's left of their driveway.
I want you to let me get in, you step out and go out, help her in, put her bag in the back, get her strapped in. I'm gonna take her down and come back, and I'll take him, I'll come back, and then I'll get you, okay?
I originally left my son co-pilot on the side of the mountain. It was kind of unstable, so I didn't want to put more weight in the helicopter to lift back off. So I left my son with the other victim, and I was just going to take one person down at the time. And you could hear me in the video talking through the victims and with my son what we were going to do.
3 minutes away, Sidham spotted a group of rescuers just down the river. He landed and found someone in charge.
Told him my background experience, law enforcement, firefighting, pilot. He immediately started helping with coordination. He gave me radio frequencies to coordinate with them on, set up a landing area for me to come back with the other victim. And in the middle of the whole conversation and them blocking the road off, I was greeted by the, at that time I didn't know, but Lake Lure fire chief or assistant chief maybe, and he shut down the whole operation. So at that point, I felt like the conversation wasn't going any further. And again, he asked me to leave, and I said, hey, I have no problem getting out of your area. If that's what you want us to do, we'll leave, no issue. At that point, I asked him, what was the reason I had to leave them there? And he said, again, you're interfering with my operation. Get out of the area. I said, sir, I don't know where you were trained at, but I know how my training is, and I'm not going to leave personnel behind. I'm going back to get my co-pilot. He said, if you turn around and go back up the mountain, you're going to be. I said, well, sir, I'm going back to get my co-pilot. I don't know what to tell you. And he said, I'm letting you know. And at that point, he waited for 2 law enforcement officers to come over and told me that, again, if I go back up the mountain, I would be arrested.
He flew the 3-minute trip back, picked up his son, and left the woman's husband behind.
Sure, he was flooded with emotions and trying to rescue other people, and I just felt that it was best at the time to leave. So I did follow his instructions, and I had a conversation with the female victim before I left, apologizing and explaining that she was standing there.
That dude was robbing everybody, probably.
They were both very, very surprised, very upset. The husband, as I was leaving off of the side of the mountain, at that point, separated from his wife, he was upset.
I mean, that's fucked up. I would have took him anyway.
Flight hours, turned his chopper around and headed back to South Carolina, passing people waiting for help along the way.
As I was actually leaving to go back to get my son, the original chief or captain that I spoke to, his crew and himself, they came back over and said, hey man, we can't tell you to go get the victim. We can't even ask you to go get the victim, but we can tell you if you come back with the victim, we'll have you a designated landing spot, and we'll make sure they don't come over here.
So there was no flight restriction when you went in?
No flight restriction when I went in. It went in place 20 or 30 minutes after the confrontation with Mr.
You feel like that was coincidental, or do you think that was because of what happened?
I don't think it can be coincidental when there has not been one in place the day before doing rescue operations, the night of, the morning of. that took place after our altercation. I think there would have never been a TFR put in place had we not had that conversation. If I had to do it over again, I would have stopped and I would have rescued as many people until they decided they were going to arrest me.
Well, for now, we've chosen not to name that Lake Lure fire official because communications in and out of that town are still difficult.
That's
We want him to
bullshit.
decide in this story, and if and when he responds to our messages, we will include that. The good news is I saw a video of a Coast Guard helicopter landing in Lake Lure this morning, so hopefully
I mean, could you imagine your wife getting took off the motherfucking mountain like that in a biblical apocalyptic fucking disaster? And that happened?
I was looking for the video with you and BG. I was standing in front of some house. Whose house is that?
Cash Money is the Army. Here it is. Over 100 new victims. This is the conference I watched earlier. This is what I watched earlier. This is an old conference. Well, not old. I mean, it was from 2 o'clock today. I didn't get to watch it all. So here we go. This is,
as they speak. As many of you know,
by the way, this is called Annex TV, so give them a like if you go to their channel. I am subscribed. We've got more subs than they do, but they got some poppin' ass content.
our law firm has been at the forefront of some of the most important litigation in the United States. We like the tough cases.
I got pissed.
We thrive in the complicated cases. We've handled over the last 25 years some very big and very important cases. I believe that this one may surpass them all.
I dropped my remote
There are
100
many facets
times.
to this. The conduct we will describe today occurred over more than 20 years. There are many people and many entities involved. And we're going to follow this evidence wherever it takes us. We will find the silent accomplices.
Good.
We will expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter no matter who the evidence implicates. These brave victims who have stepped forward deserve nothing less. The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken, and victims are coming forward. Our team has had at this point more than 3,285 individuals contact us, with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs.
God.
After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases. And you should know, to the extent the clients feel comfortable, we also intend to make these individuals available to the authorities, specifically to the FBI. And you should also know a few of them have already been spoken to by the FBI. Now, before we discuss the nature of the claims and claimants themselves, let me comment on the large volume of calls we have received since our first announcement. Even before the indictment of Sean Combs,
Not yet.
we had received a small volume of calls and it screened a handful of cases. After the indictment,
I mean, I ain't reviewed it since last night, kickers. But we might watch that Walmart shit in a few minutes. My legs are really sore today. I don't know what's going on with my body. But for some reason, I'm really sore with my legs. I got a full battery. My battery pack should be charged. It's Crack 40 TV. I'm on lazy mode right now. But after we watch this conference, if I feel like it, oh, I don't know, my granny's in the hospital too, by the way. I may have to go stay with her. But if my legs feel any better, I don't really sound like an addict or nothing. I'm not. But like once my medicine works that I take for the day, maybe if my legs feel better, I forgot to take my other medicine. We may can get to the graveyard today too, guys. So I forgot to take my fucking psycho medicine. Lodidrine. Whatever the fuck it is, mood stabilizer. Let's see how I feel. Over 1,300 victims now. There'll be more. Hell, I'm about to go tell them he busted my shit bag.
Of Sean Combs. And the announcement that we were pursuing these claims, the floodgates opened. People who wouldn't otherwise, for a variety of reasons, are now stepping forward to make their voices heard and to pursue justice. But no, most of these people are scared. They fear backlash in their communities.
New York ain't always what it seems.
They're afraid of retaliation from the perpetrators and their associates. They're rightly afraid for their own personal safety.
Everything in New York ain't always what it seems.
Many dirty secrets will be revealed.
Butthole
We know
secrets.
what we are potentially up against. And as is always the case in situations like this, when a celebrity is involved, people can be downright mean and nasty. You would be shocked at the length fans will go, no matter the evidence, to the contrary, to defend celebrities they love. And there's a reason for this word fans. They're fanatics. I've personally already been threatened multiple times on social media. When I agreed to pursue this, I expected as much. This is my first rodeo. But victims who step forward to have their voices heard should not be subjected to that kind of conduct. They should not be targeted.
What's up, Maggie?
I want to say this. And
I'm covering back up. We're doing Crack 40 TV.
Each call as stringently as we can.
For my recliner today.
Mindset that I believe victims. I believe victims. Because I understand the tremendous courage it takes to step forward. So if you're watching this, please hear me. If you're out there and you have been victimized, you are not alone. There is a great strength in numbers. You can seek redress. You can obtain justice. We can help you, and we will help you. That being said, as stated, we're vetting every call that we receive. We've had to turn away some. For each, we ask for corroboration. For each, we ask for the identity of witnesses. We also have collected pictures, videos, texts. We check venues, we check dates. We want to corroborate that the claims being made
Receipts.
Legitimacy and merit. We have on staff now a former detective from the Major Offenders Unit of Houston Police Department who is helping us vet each claim. We're using our common sense.
Oh, my legs is
We're being
hurting.
stringent because, as I said, these are not easy cases. They're very tough. The process is hard, and in some cases, the process is very lengthy. These cases are hard to prove.
Better call Sal.
Sometimes it's the victim's word against the alleged perpetrator. Each of these victims will no doubt be publicly attacked by the alleged perpetrators, and in some cases, the general public. The feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack. We know what we're up against. We did not enter this fray blindly. I wish it was my last such fray. I wish this type of behavior wasn't so pervasive. But it is what it is, so we will press on.
It is what it is.
As I said, our law firms...
Sorry, guys, I'm holding this phone.
...individuals at this point to pursue cases in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs. You should know, in this group, it is evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs. In this group, 62% identify as African American, 30% are white, and the remainder Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida.
Of
I want to
course.
focus on the ages of these victims.
This is where it gets fucked up, guys.
When you talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking.
It's fucked
Our
up.
youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15.
Sadly, this is
25
allegedly,
of
sadly.
individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of.
25 minors. Fuck Diddy.
The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way to this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time.
So you got real crazy in 15.
Now, when you think about the fact that some of this conduct occurred 25 years ago, and you wonder why would it take somebody so long to step forward?
I know.
I remind you that many states in the United States have recognized that it's very difficult for a victim to step forward and to make these types of allegations when something very terrible has happened to them. I'll use New York, the state of New York as an example. The state of New York has specific statutes in place that revive claims that are even claims that would typically be not able to be brought, that revive such claims, and they can be brought even 25 to 30 years later. Because there's a recognition there in New York and California and other states that it's very difficult for a victim to come forward. And I would respectfully suggest the only reason many of these people are coming forward because they see other victims coming forward.
Yeah. They're scared to death.
That, hey, I won't be the only one. And I expect more victims will come forward. You know, there's an old saying that says, a lie has great speed, but truth has endurance. The acts complained of in these cases that we're going to file occurred primarily in New York, either Manhattan or the Hamptons, or occurred in California, primarily in Los Angeles,
Or Atlanta.
or in Florida, primarily in Miami. Most of these events and incidents occurred at parties, typically after parties, or album release parties, New Year's Eve parties, 4th of July parties, something they call a puppy party, the all-white party. Though several of these events occurred at auditions. Many times, especially young people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star, or in the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape, or even let them read for Sean Combs. You should know that some of this behavior occurred at well-known venues in New York City. Some of this behavior occurred at private residences of people that we all know. Some of this behavior occurred at hotels that we're all familiar with. You should know that more than 55% of the victims filed reports, reported this conduct.
Wow.
To either the authorities, that is the police, or to hospitals. We're in the process of collecting with our team assistants, medical records, reports that were made to the authorities, and I've already said that some of the individuals in this group did in fact talk to the FBI. You should know that several of the individuals, and when I say several, I mean many, who did in fact seek medical treatment were drug tested, and drugs were found in their system, weird drugs.
Ketamine.
Drugs that you probably never heard of. One in particular that continues to pop up is a drug called xylazine, trank.
How many times have I said xylazine?
Our research is known as a horse tranquilizer.
Let me pause this. How many times, if you watch me every day, how many times have you talked about the Xanaxes I was hooked on that blacked me out and made me go crazy? And for over 2 years straight, I blacked out on xylazine and ketamine Xanaxes, and they do not show up on regular drug tests. I was in a Suboxone clinic the whole time and took a drug test every 2 weeks or every week, and I would be telling my doctors, I'm dirty for Xanax again. I'm dirty. I go ahead and tell them, they'd be like, well, whatever you're taking, you got to be careful because it's not Xanax. and it would be the same high. Sometimes it would be the exact same high, but that was the blue bars from Ohio. They was the same highs as Xanax, but didn't show up. The green bars, you don't remember nothing and you go crazy. No wonder he fucked all these people and they don't know for real. Like, I don't know how much craziness I did on them.
Now, there's been a lot of reports that we're filing a class action. This is not a class action.
Silas,
Class
and I
action
told
is
y'all.
when people file a case on behalf of a group of people. That's not this. These cases will be individual cases. Each case will live and die on its own merit. These cases will be filed individually, one plaintiff against whoever the defendants were involved in the
Oh,
case.
God. I hope I don't
Each
die
case
no time
may
soon.
be filed in one venue like California, another case may be filed in New York.
I hope to God I don't die no time soon. Sometimes I feel bad, like when people die and then they miss something they'd really enjoy. I hope I live to go through every bit of this. I hope I live to see every trial this motherfucker's been through. Because whoever makes ketamine and salicine Xanaxes knows what they're doing, and they know they're setting somebody up for wreck. Why do you think my car's wrecked? Xanax with fentanyl in it. Kent, whatever.
One case may sue just Sean Combs, but multiple other people. One case may sue a range of people.
Well, they shaking like a motherfucker, ain't
As I
they?
said, thinking or hoping, or perhaps believing that I may start naming names. That day will come, but it won't be today. The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that.
Yeet!
But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
I call them the facilitators of foul play, willing participants in foul conduct. As we identify them, each will be part of this case as defendants. These defendants will not only include individuals, but will also include corporate entities who ultimately profited off of this culture and behavior.
Yay!
I'm looking at banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels.
Everybody going down.
That many of these individuals were paid cash. We know that many of these individuals involved, whether they were the ones being assaulted and abused, or they're witnessing other people being assaulted and abused, and then paid and threatened and told to leave. Typically paid 10 grand in cash and told to leave. And then threatened as they were leaving. So in addition to Sean Combs, you should know the defendants in these cases we're going to file will include anyone, of course, who engaged in the assault or exploitation, anyone who participated in such in any way, anyone who encouraged or facilitated this conduct, anyone who was in the room and watched it happen but made no effort to stop it, any venue or venue owner who was aware of what was going on but failed to stop it, any individual or entity who knew about the conduct and benefited from it but did nothing to report it or stop it.
Everybody's going down. Everybody's fucked.
These people who know who they are should just come forward now. I would imagine,
Rat boys.
As we speak here, there are a myriad of people
ratting,
who are very nervous.
Running to the government.
You can't hide skeletons in the closet forever.
Hey, yo, this is LeBron.
I would expect there are many people out there right now.
I need to age it.
Who are desperately searching their memories as they delete their texts and data. Now, although these are, in fact, individual cases, there is a common theme, an MO, if you will. Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of sexual acts on the victims, many times passing him or her around as other people watch and enjoy the show, and then leave the victim ashamed, confused, injured, and wondering what happened.
Oh, you got
When the
wild
victim
last
reaches
night.
out,
You don't
he or she is
remember?
told not to say anything. Sometimes there are threats of all physical violence or financial repercussions or bodily harm.
I ain't laughing at no
Claims
victims.
we intend to bring will include the following:
I'm laughing at all these
violent
people
sexual assault or
scared.
rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment, sexual abuse of minors. Given the large volume of cases, and given our other docket obligations, and given the fact that we want to be sure when we file these cases that they are fully vetted, I expect we'll start filing these cases against Sean Combs and other perpetrators within the next 30 days. Now,
He's gonna
it's
be
rare,
busy.
you know, sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, this type of activity is pervasive in our society, and it's rare we get a chance where we can really focus on this as a country and really focus on this about how pervasive this is and what we can, as collectively, can do about it. So I thought I'd take this opportunity before I go into some individual cases and talk about some of the individual claims being made and some of the, so you'll get a sense of what this 120 people group looks like individually. I want to bring forward Carrie Paul. She's a national victim advocate who helps victims who have been victimized by this type of conduct. And she has some important words, and I hope you'll pay close attention. I think it's important that you hear from her.
Hello, I'm Carrie Paul, the National Victim Advocate.
I would say she's hot, but she's a national victim advocate, so she's doing a good job with what she does.
Doesn't believe survivors.
Much love for
It
this
blames
woman.
and questions them. Instead of showing support, many choose to enable abusers. The media runs stories asking why it took so long for survivors to come forward, instead of asking what barriers exist.
True.
We also don't equip law enforcement with the ability to handle sexual assault crimes. Lack of funding translates to lack of training. We have officers in the field that don't know what to say to a rape victim. And also an alarming amount of backlogged, untested rape kits.
Fuck.
Prosecutors are focused on what they can prove in a case, and if so, how to do that at time of trial. Advocates and staff are stretched thin with growing caseloads in the criminal justice system. Most people don't know how the criminal justice works in general.
My can of butter's working really good real quick.
To adequately explain the entire process to every victim and survivor. Our culture works against victims and survivors every day, and abusers know this. Abusers work themselves into positions of power, building a public image that is trusted and financially large enough to make people look away. Abusers are unfortunately very skilled at power and control, the foundation of abuse. They seek victims who are vulnerable, such as children, their employees, and their intimate partners, all who see a different version than the public does, all who rely on the abuser in some way. And for those that do come forward and aren't believed, face questions like, are you sure it happened that way? Were you drinking? What were you wearing?
I'm telling you that.
All of this creates an environment that enables abusers to continue abusing them and future victims. To the survivors that have come forward despite not being believed at some point in time, your courage is like nothing we have seen before.
Let me tell y'all something about this time 2 years ago. There was some different Xanaxes come through. I'm sitting here listening to this as a victim myself, or an addict of ketamine and xylazine, and didn't realize it for 2 years, at least 2 years of my life, from about 2 years ago till 2 years before that. The end of 2020 until about 2 years ago, every Xanax I did almost was full of ketamine and xylazine. It don't show up on drug tests. But my plugs told me that's what it was on my way to rehab when I didn't get to go. Yeah, that's another story. So, what I'm getting at is this was one time in life that I blacked out for a whole weekend, and my friend Amanda Cox was at the house, right? She don't care if I tell her story, tell her name. Um, I love you, Amanda. She's one of my dear friends. We're good friends, but we'll fuck sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to tell a story about sex, but I'm telling a story about sex for an example of what they're doing to these people and knowing what they're doing to these people. So Amanda was using meth at the time, and I was a Xanax user. So she comes to my house. Y'all know how I be. I get girls to come clean my house, stay around, fuck for a weekend, get them gone. Amanda was on the run. I let her come stay at the house for a little bit. She's just a friend, but we get up and fuck every now and then. And so I did these 2 bars, and we fucked so long her legs were sore the next day. That's one of the reasons I joke about legs being sore lately. I remember that. I do not remember 1 ounce of having sex with her that night. I don't remember nothing the next day except somehow getting some more and getting some weed and cooking it. Yeah, I can remember that. And I don't remember having sex the next night. I woke up the next day. We laying in the bed just chilling like me and her would. Just friends, just a man and woman laying in bed chilling. I'm like, what all did we do? I was like, something in my head kept telling me we fucked. And I was like, did we fuck? And she said, you don't remember having sex? And I'm like, no. I was like, not one bit. She said, my legs were sore and started laughing. I'm like, what the fuck? She was like, Crack, you was talking crazy to me last night. I have no clue what I was saying. She never would tell me. I was like, what was I saying? I don't know if I was telling her I loved her, if I wanted to get married. I reached out. I tried to fuck a dude one night. Don't remember it. It wasn't just a dude, but like it was a guy dude. It wasn't just him I was trying to fuck. Like there was a list of people, girls that I had tried to fuck that night, and there was my buddy's older brother that's a homosexual was in that list, and I had no clue. Don't remember it. So considering that's one of the only times that I completely blacked out and had sex in my life for 2 days and don't remember it, probably the only time that it's completely blacked out and I have no no memory of what, none of it. Diddy and them taking that xylazine and ketamine and putting it in drinks. Like, I think a drug dealer that sells that is a predator because, goddamn, it's blacking you out like GHB or anything else. I mean, it's ketamine and it's xylazine. They're horse tranquilizers. You'll hear more about it in just a second. I just keep thinking about how it blacked me out that weekend 2 years ago and how I had blacked out and wrecked cars, and how I blacked out this past last blackout, and the blackout before that was ketamine Xanaxes. The last blackout I had in June was Xanax. The one before that was xylazine and ketamine. and I don't remember nothing for a whole week. So they're doing that as predators. That's fucking crazy. And I might as fuck off my can of butter coffee. I mean, she might have stuck something in me, and I don't know it, Mopar. I have no clue. Like, she was telling me I was talking craziness. Still to this day, I'm gonna ask her. Still to this day, I have no clue. I don't know if I was telling her we should get married or I loved her, or if I was telling her what, I don't know. Like, I have no clue. But I was so high, I don't remember nothing. And when you're out like that, it's untellable what you'll say or what you know. I used to tell Danny all the time, I'd be like, I ain't had on my birthday. Tell my birthday to him. But anyway, Puff Daddy has got 1,325 victims at least that's come forward. This law firm is representing over 100, 120, 60 men, 60 women. I think it was 30 white, 30% white, 30% Asian and Hispanic, and the rest, the 60% black. And the victims was as young as 9-year old, and it's fixing to get even worse. Let's continue on with the conference. Also, murder. We watched the We watched the court hearing, the preliminary hearing of the judge, the sheriff shooting the judge a minute ago, and in the court hearing, they showed the video of the judge executing him, but we couldn't see it, or the sheriff executing the judge. And they exchanged phones, and he called his daughter from both phones, stood up, executed the sheriff. When he left, he said they was trying to kidnap his wife and daughter. Was that judge in on some kind of super sex ring and going to kidnap that girl and send her off, or was they just fucking, or did the sheriff lose his mind, or what? We don't know yet. Sources say he could have lost his mind. Sources in the courtroom, they're laying it out like the defense, like definitely he was fucking the daughter. And we watched that. I watched the Diddy conference, half of this already that we're watching. So now we're rewatching it.
We thank you for coming forward for yourself and all survivors. And lastly, I want all survivors that are watching this to know we believe you and we support you. Thank you.
I'm stoned off my can of coffee. This is the most, I'm more stoned right now than I probably was last night.
My co-counsel, Andrew Van Arsdale, we've created a sexual abuse hotline. I want him to visit with us just a few moments about how that works and the kind of volume of calls we've received.
Thank you, Tony. Like Tony said, my name is Andrew Van Arsdale. I'm the managing partner of ABA Law Group. We have offices in California, Montana, and North Carolina. To build off of what you just so well said, it's very hard to come forward. And given
oh shit, Diddy's time is up.
Is really unprecedented.
Yep.
In my career, at least. We represent
it's over.
Of survivors of abuse. And never, ever in a 10-day period have we seen over 3,000 people come forward, or we've confirmed and decided to investigate and represent 120 people, while we're continuing to work through another 100 plus cases to prove them up, to validate what had happened here, and to hold those that are responsible accountable. And so like Tony said, we've set this up. 1-800-200-7474. I have a team of people standing by, literally. If you know that this happened to someone and you have information about it, please contact us. If this happened to you, come forward. There's attorney-client privilege here. What you tell us is in confidence. Yes, we'll have to go out and build your case, but we will protect you. And the other thing that I want to say is, the pattern and practice of this, again, is unprecedented. Over 30 plus years of the same sort of events happening. People thrust into the circle reportedly, and horrible things happening to them as a result.
Usher Raymond.
Talking to these people that have come forward these past 10 days, I can tell you unequivocally that because the federal government did what it needed to do and indicted this man, that they put him in jail and a judge kept him in jail. They tell me directly, this validates my feelings. For so long, I thought it was my fault. What is it about me to put myself in that scenario? What was I wearing at the time? What did I do to be subjected to such horrific treatment at these people that I was trying to trust? Well, we know now it was not your fault. You were victimized by a group of powerful people that operated for 30 plus years, taking advantage of their wealth and the power that they held.
I don't know if that's better if I zoom in for y'all or not. Tell me.
Every single person that has come forward and contacted our office over the past 10 days, if you or someone you know suffered the same sort of treatment, please contact us at the number behind me and we will help you. Thank you.
This must have been where I
think it speaks to how important this issue is in the United States and frankly internationally, that we have reputable people here that want to provide kind of information that I think victims need to hear, witnesses need to hear, the public needs to hear. Let me introduce to you now Olivia Rivers from the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, and let her visit with you a few moments about these types of cases.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Q Olivia Rivers. I am just served my 6th year as the board chair for the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault. I'm also the CEO for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, which is a local rape crisis center here in the Houston area. So thank you for being here as we address these heinous crimes. Sexual assault is not just a crime of violence against the body. It's an assault on the very essence of human dignity and safety.
You got
it
that
shatters
right.
Lives, it destroys confidence, and all too often, it leaves survivors feeling like they are voiceless, isolated, and vulnerable. The reality for many survivors is that coming forward to report their assault is one of the most difficult and daunting tasks that they will ever have to do. And for some, it may take days.
Skip forward.
Months, or even years to speak up, if they ever do. The reasons for this have been mentioned, but include the fear of being disbelieved, being blamed, or...
See, when I got in it, she wasn't talking. It was it was him, and he was talking some horrific shit.
I'm going to visit with you real quickly before we close here about some specific instances without.
This is where I started watching.
You probably know that depending on the age of the victim, you can file these cases, these individual cases, under Jane Doe or John Doe.
Yeah.
Each state is different in that respect. Typically, there is a balancing test, like the public's right to know the name of the victim and plaintiff versus the confidentiality and the safety of the plaintiff. So we'll have to struggle with that with each one of these cases. Our intention, of course, is to, like we always do, file these cases under a pseudonym until the court tells us otherwise. But let me share with you a few, just kind of give you a sense.
I'm stoned. I ain't bored.
And the kind of instances that people are calling.
I feel bad.
And reporting that we are trying to corroborate, vet, and these are the ones that we've already
I just
corroborated, vetted,
fatigue.
collected evidence on. One individual who was 22 years at the time she was assaulted said that the typical MO at one of these parties that have been widely discussed in the press was that when you were handed a drink, and now we know that the drink is laced with something, if you refused to drink it, you were kicked out of the party. Now let that sink in for a minute. I mean, the admission to this party was that you had to drink the chosen drink that was handed to you. And now we know that in most cases, I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were drugged with some sort of drug. That was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual who was 9 years old at the time was taken to a audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records.
9.
Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors.
Other
This
boys.
individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio, in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal. Another instance, another minor, told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but he needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time, flown to New York City to attend a party, was drugged, and then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual, minor, was raped, and then other individuals took turns raping her. Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up allegedly by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV, and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes. Another instance, individual, this time not a minor, attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, but whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out, and she woke up in the same bed, again, allegedly, with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami. Her vagina and her anus were torn and sore.
It's fucked
and I can
up.
go on. I mean, literally, you're sensing a theme here. It's the same theme, and it all involves some sort of drug. One instance, an individual who was 20 years old at the time was asked to attend, just saw her on the street, asked to attend a party in a hotel. She was flattered, went to the party, was given one drink and doesn't remember anything else. Ultimately, was so messed up, went to the hospital where they found cocaine and this horse tranquilizer in her blood system. I'm going to give you a quote from a very young man who told us over the phone about his experience and all the things that happened to him. He says allegedly at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his friends in the effort to try to sign a record deal. This was kind of what he was told he would have to do. His quote is, "Had he not been in power, I feel like I could have been something great. I quit the industry because of what Sean Combs did to me." And that's really what it comes down to. We are pursuing this, asking you to support this effort, to encourage witnesses and victims to come forward and bring your evidence so we can continue to break down this wall of silence and we can continue to have these stories heard. This is the beginning of what I hope to be a national dialogue. This type of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and sexual exploitation should never happen in the United States or anywhere else. This should have never been allowed to go on for so long. This conduct has created a mass of individuals who are injured, scared, and scarred. If you're one of those individuals, we ask you to reach out. If not to us, to someone you trust. If you're someone who witnessed any of these events,
That's it, guys.
your name can remain confidential. With that, I'll take a few questions, not many, maybe
All
two.
right.
But if you have a question, I'll be pleased to try to answer it. Perfect.
How many minors are making accusations in total, and are the feds aware of the allegations of minors missing?
I don't know what the feds are aware of, okay, but I do know it's 25 out of this 120. I will say this to that point. We welcome the FBI or any authority who wants to come to us, and we're going to make that available to these victims because I think that's important. My suspicion is, based on talking with these folks, is that the FBI is just not aware of these people. The FBI has talked to some of these folks, and I'm going to try to encourage the victims to in fact talk to the FBI because I think they have some very important things to say.
So were all of the children auditioning because they were musicians, or were any of them kids of employees or anything like that?
All seeking either TV or some sort of music career with promises of, make you a star.
Damn.
Instead, basically did things to them such that they don't want to have anything to do with the entertainment industry ever again. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your attention. We're going to go now. Thank you.
What do you think Eve did? What do you think the Locks? Folks, they went crazy on Diddy a while back. I don't think Jadakiss and Styles P. I don't know about all. I mean, like Black Rock. What do you think the ones that did make it onto Bad Boy Records fucking ended up goddamn doing? And where are they all at now? Black Rob's dead. Biggie's fucking dead. Shine's in another country. Who else is Kim Porter? His fucking wife's dead. I was sitting here watching this, and at first I was like, they don't give the death penalty for SA and grape. And I don't guess I even have to say that because everybody says them words kick you out of the algorithm. Not all these other streamers that's getting 100,000 views watching covering this shit. They're still getting the views, but maybe this could lead. I don't know if this could lead to Diddy getting the death penalty or not, but goddamn, this many victims, how can that should not lead up to the death penalty? That's what I don't understand. Like, there should be exceptions for the death penalty, but would it be better to put him to death? Nah, he's getting out of it. He needs to sit in a cell about the size of my bathroom alone the rest of his life. But you can adjust. Cause I mean, he'll get killed if they put him in anywhere in prison, unless they send him to some Fed super check-in camp. Diddy's dead on arrival. I mean, it's just a fact. Look at that shit. All them folks that could have been in the music industry, all them folks. And they said, if you remember the show Making the Band, if y'all remember that, I remember watching it, and I didn't really I watched it. It was entertaining a little bit. He made them go get that cheesecake. You know who the cheesecake was for? It was for J-Lo. All that shit was for J-Lo that day, and that was the most famous part on that thing. But Freddie P, I was watching an interview with him that was on that show, The Band, and he was talking about it was for J-Lo, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm high as fuck, I forget what I was getting to about the cheesecake. Something weird was going on when they made him go get the cheesecake and they shot that episode. I'll have to go back and rewatch it. Other news in the world of Crack 40 TV murder. Ernie stayed in here and slept at the door like a good dog until about 9:30. And then Ernie got up and, well, he had to pee and he never come back. But I didn't give a fuck if he come back or not because I went back to bed. And it's Crack 40 TV. I feel like shit. I woke up and drank a can of butter, thanked the Lord, and pissed. And I didn't poop today. My legs feel weird. They're hurting and burning real bad. Oh. And Granny Billy's in the hospital. I don't know why. My phone's been on all day, and Danny never told me she's in the hospital, and he missed work. He stretched her a little bit. But the sheriff in his court hearing, it definitely, the facts are that at the lunch that day, 90 minutes, 2 hours prior to the execution of the judge, I don't know what you mean by that one, 2.0. I don't know who you're talking about. But the sheriff told the judge, do we need to meet in private? Right at that lunch. And then when he went in there was people in the judge's office chambers. They left. Then they sat in there. Am I back? Well, I had it paused because I was talking to my kids, you stupid motherfucker. But I am going to restream because it took a long time. And I found out something. Your mom owes people money in prison for commissary, and she ain't got the money. She gonna have to do some Diddy shit in prison. But yeah, I'm gonna restream since I was dead for 9 minutes talking to my dumbass kid. We'll restream.